A lot of traders make the mistake of only basing their trade setups or analysis off of a single time frame, but that could actually put you at a disadvantage. So in this video, I'll be going over how to fix that by incorporating a top-down approach. I'll be explaining what that is and how I like to use that in order to spot higher quality trade setups. What's up guys, it's Matt, and we're going to be diving into top-down analysis 101, or what a top-down approach is and why I like to incorporate that for my trades. And here we are in this example on the pound futures charts on the daily. But before we dive into the analysis, I wanted to go over the 5-step process that I like to go over when I cover top-down analysis for my own trade setups. Now, before I dive into each step individually one by one, I just want to list all 5 of them out so you guys can get a general understanding of what we're going to be taking a look at. All right, so the first thing that I typically look for is the direction in the market. So that would be step number 1. After that, we've got the story for step number 2. Following that, we have the zone. Then we've got the trigger for step 4. And lastly, we have the execution for step 5. And so first, let's just start off with the direction. So simply, the direction is us asking, what is our bias? Are we bullish? Are we bearish? Or are we kind of in between? And so in this case, what I like to do is I start off by measuring back the past 10 to 15, sometimes 20 bars. So if you're on the computer, you can just click or hold shift and click. Now, if you're not on the computer, that's fine. You can just count or more or less eyeball this. There's no exact answer here, but what's most important is you just want to be consistent with this. So the reason why you want to be consistent with this is because depending on how many candles or bars you're looking at, that can affect the way that you perceive the market direction. But a general rule of thumb is I typically like to look at the past 20 to 30 as that's more recent. So this was our bullish impulsive wave. Following that, we had a period of consolidation, but ever since then, the last couple of days, we've been creating higher lows and higher highs. So our direction or bias is into the upside. And now we're taking it one step further by dropping down to the 4-hour chart in order to find our story. So that's step number 2. And so moving on, I drop down to the 4-hour chart. And this is where now for step number 2, we're going to be looking at the structure, the overall market structure, and we're going to be trying to answer the question of what is the structure telling us. So we're trying to find the narrative of what the price action is pretty much doing. And this is where the overall name of a top-down analysis comes in, because we're starting from the top. So again, from a higher time frame, in which case we were on the daily and we're moving down. So this is why I'm on the 4-hour. So that way I can get more data and understand what the overall market narrative is a little bit better by doing that. So if you guys were on the 4-hour, you can drop down to the 1-hour. If you're on the 1-hour, you can drop down to the 15-minute. And in this case, just looking to the left, we can see that the current level that the price is sitting at, which is roughly 1.37. In the past, this is a region where if I zoom in, we can see that the price was consolidating for a couple of days. And then following that, we can see this large bearish impulsive move that pushed us down and broke us out of this consolidation box. So you could look at this as displacement. And this is where we had a corrective wave of where the price pulled back following this drop, consolidated for a bit, and continued dropping lower. But I'm actually going to go one step further, drop down to the 1-hour chart so we can get even more data. So don't be afraid of dropping down 1 or 2 time frames lower if that means that you can understand the market behavior a little bit better. And in this case, we can see that the price before it broke out of this region, again, we were consolidating. There was a liquidity sweep on July 1st. So this is where we had a series of, let me actually mark this out. And this is where these lower highs basically represented a low resistance liquidity pool. Not to confuse you guys too much, I can actually go more in depth about those in future videos. But basically what that implies is that we had a buildup of liquidity here. And so this is where the price pushed up and it swept the liquidity and we continued to drop down. And this is why it's important to be patient and to start off your analysis off of a higher time frame, so that way you can slowly plan out your trades and you're not going to be lost in all of the noise of what's happening on a lower time frame. And then following that drop, we had a very steep angle with these large bearish hourly candles, which not only pushed the price out of this range, but this is where we also formed a fair value gap. Now, granted, this is hindsight analysis as this had already played out. So I'm going to connect the volume profile from this high, or right before this high. I'm just going to use this range followed by where we dropped and connect it to this level before the price pushed up and swept these equal highs, just so you guys can get a visual representation of what this gap looked like. And again, above this fair value gap, this is where we had equal highs. And following that, we can see how the price pushed up, mitigated this fair value gap, so rejected this area, which is a sign of a bearish continuation. And again, this is what the fair value gap looks like on the 4-hour chart. That's a level that we were already mitigating beforehand. However, we pushed significantly above that as of right now. So our overall narrative or story is that the price is bullish, but we did encounter a point of resistance that the price previously rejected, and it also filled the gap that was residing in this region. However, as of right now, we still have yet to see if it holds up or below that level. And this is where step number 3 ties into number 2, because for number 3, we're looking for the zone. So are there any key areas where we might react from? Yes. And that's actually what the price is doing right now. It is reacting based off of this live as of the recording of this video. So we are currently rejecting it, but we still have to see if the price respects this or if we reject it. And in this case, we have pretty much 2 strategies when it comes to looking for a buy. So either we're waiting for the price to respect this zone, right? So we're going to want to see the price ideally close strongly above it. And then this is where you can look for a break and retest setup, or we could look for a pullback. And this takes us to step number 4, where now we're looking for the trigger. So what needs to happen for us to enter this trade? I'm going to drop down to the 1 hour. So we're probably not going to get this break and retest setup above this point of resistance, since the momentum here has flipped quite drastically. However, we could probably get a pullback down into this zone. So this is where we're going to be looking for a long. And this zone again is lined up with a previous point of support / resistance, which also lines up with this bullish order block. So you guys can use order blocks, you can use breakers, fair value gaps, inverted fair value gaps, support and resistance. In my case, I like to combine it all into what I just call cluster zones. This is what works for me. And this is where now you just play the waiting game. So typically before step 4 and potentially step 5, there are many cases where you might have to wait a couple of hours or perhaps even a couple of days or weeks, depending on what type of trade you're looking for, before you enter any trade setups. And then lastly, we have step number 5, which is our execution. But before you get that, obviously you want to make sure that step number 4 was checked off. So step number 4 is always a hypothetical question of what does the price action need to do? Which region or zone does it need to reject? And how does it need to reject it in order for me to enter a trade? And so in this case, scenario number 1 was we were looking for the price to break and retest this point of resistance, or above this point of resistance that's roughly around 1.37. We likely won't get that. We can probably get a pullback into this zone down here sometime later today or perhaps tomorrow by the end of this week. And then that's where we can look to go long if this is rejected. And hypothetically, if we get that rejection, so let's say that the price pulls down into this zone and we form a large wick on the 1 hour, or let's say we go on to the 15-minute. So now we're narrowing it down all the way to the 15-minute or 5-minute, which is what I like to use for my entries For some of you, that might be the 1 minute. And this is where looking at market structure shifts or seeing how the price action reacts to a level, whether it rejects it with a large wick or essentially looking at the volume and candle formations, that can help us determine if we want to enter this trade at all. So really, it just comes down to what the order flow does. So you can think of this as, let's say you're driving down the street and you don't have a compass with you or a GPS. You might think that you're driving in the right direction. However, you might be driving in the wrong direction. So now we know, are we driving north? Are we driving south? And we're less likely to miss our target or our destination. So trading is basically like that as well. And in this case, this is probably going to take a couple of hours. So maybe later today or tomorrow, we're going to see what the price does. And if we do get a strong rejection here, that's where, before I enter my trade, I'm going to look at where I want to place my stop loss, my take profit, or multiple take profits, if you guys do multiple take profit targets, as well as my risk to reward. Now, typically I like to go and incorporate a 1 to 2 or at least a 1 to 3 risk to reward on average. My zone is roughly, again, around 1.36. And that's typically what you'll see. The price gravitates towards round numbers and usually pushes slightly above or below them in order to stop some people out in many cases. And also structurally speaking, we're forming these higher highs and higher lows, but mostly taking a look at these lows, we can see that none of these lows have been pushed through in quite some time. So if we are going to see a liquidity sweep, this is a level that's going to be targeted, right? Ideally, these upper lows that are around this zone. So that's what I'm anticipating from a probable standpoint. Additionally, we also have an unmitigated fair value gap down here. Let me actually change the size of this just to be on the safer side. If my entry is, let's say, around 1.36 or slightly below that, I'm going to place my stop loss right below that fair value gap, just in case the price drops, let's say 10 or 15 ticks before we get a reversal. You can anticipate a liquidity grab or a liquidity sweep, but you might not exactly know where the lowest or highest price point is going to be every single time. And my take profit, in this case, from a probable standpoint, I would be anticipating at least a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 3 RR. And this is a follow-up the very next day for you guys. So I decided to include this because I feel as though it's a perfect example of how sometimes you might get the direction right, but your take profit target, or perhaps you might have a second take profit target, might not always get hit. And that's the reality of trading, right? It's all a game of probability. So in this case, following the London session, the price pushed up, rejecting this region of 1.36, but then we encountered this minor resistance zone right over here, right around 1.3660. So following that, we had a market structure shift. So hypothetically, this is a scenario where you might just scale out and take a partial take profit, or you end up breaking even. And that's pretty much what trading is, right? It's a game of probability, and you're reacting to certain levels. And sometimes if the price breaks through a level in the opposite direction, you might end up flipping your bias. And so that's the importance of understanding a top-down analysis, is that this helps us frame our trade setups a bit better by understanding what's happening on a higher level. So that way, when we do enter our trades off of a lower time frame, we can not only time them better, but know if we should enter them at all. So hopefully this video helped, and drop a comment down below on what I should cover in the next one.